Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this MSI GS73VR 6RF Stealth Pro. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, of course, make sure the computer's off. Then we're going to flip it over. Okay, and then we're going to use a PH1 or JAS1 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. A lot of these screws are already missing, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and remove all the screws. Hopefully they'll all come out. It looks like the customer might have stripped some of the screws. Alright, so I have to keep the screws in order. The way I do that is I just take them out and put them with the flat side down on my desk in the pattern that I removed them. So like this, and then I'll just put them across like that. Alright, and that's how I keep track of them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue removing all the screws. If this video helps you, make sure to like and subscribe so that others can find my videos. Alright, and hopefully they'll be able to also learn how to work on their devices. If this video helps you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps. Alright, these are my customers' computers. I do these repairs for a living. So yeah, alright, I don't own these computers. Again, a bunch of these screws are missing, so I don't know, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but let's see. They did damage this area here. It looks like they super glued it. Hopefully the cover will still come off. Alright, once you get all those screws out, let's see if a suction cup will work. I'm going to use that and then try and pull this cover. Oops, there's one more screw up here. Okay, so hopefully now we can lift the cover. Man, it looks like that glue is holding it. Alright, there's one more screw underneath this warranty sticker that I didn't get. Okay, so let's see, we got most of it out. Okay, so there are little clips, it looks like, back here, so I'm going to use my fingernail along the gap there and pop that out as I lift it up. Again, there's one screw here that they got stuck there, so I'm going to have to use a screwdriver removal tool or a strip screw removal tool. Okay, so I have a drill here. I put it in reverse, and I have this. Oops, wrong one. These are too big. Let me get the right size. Alright, so we have these little screw remover tools. Okay, I'm going to use the smallest one first. Alright, and first thing we do is we use the drill bit end, so the one that looks like this, a drill. Okay, not the little threaded heads. Okay. And we're going to try and remove this, so let me make sure I set it to the slower torque mode. Alright, and we're going to use that and try and get this screw out. So basically it turns the screw in reverse and it drills a hole in it. Okay, looks like it's coming out. Here we go. So we got the screw out. Normally you would have to drill the screw out first, and then after that you can let me actually get the screw out here. There we go. So normally you would drill the screw out with this, and then you would flip it over to the other side. Let me show you here. Okay, and then you would switch it to this spiral side, which grabs in that drilled out area to remove it. But it came out without using that, so yeah. I don't know, most of the time the screws come out with the drill bit, without having to do it the other way. So anyways, we got that screw out. I'm not going to reuse this screw because this screw is total garbage. Alright, I'll set that aside. Let's go ahead and throw or remove this cover. Here you can see they bent the cover. It looks like because that screw was stuck, they tried to just bend it open. Alright, so it's pretty dusty here. They said the screws were kind of being noisy or something. Oh, so it's this screw actually that's bad. I can actually hear it when I spin it by hand. So I'm going to clean the dust out here and I will be back, alright? I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I finished cleaning out the dust here. Alright, so you can see it's a lot cleaner than before. It's not perfect, but it's better. Alright, so this fan, I don't know if you can hear it. That's pretty bad. This fan, these two fans are okay. This one, I don't know why it's getting stuck on something. There you go. So I'll probably redo the grease on all of them since I'm going to have to take out the whole motherboard anyways. Alright, first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. So the battery model number is BTY-M6J. Alright, so let's go ahead and disconnect this battery. We're most likely going to have to take out these cables here. And I don't know why they taped this on here to make this such a pain. But we're going to have to remove this tape and undo those cables as well. Alright, so I'm using this plastic razor blade just to scrape underneath this tape. And then hopefully we can peel this up. Alright, looks like it's working. I'm going to zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. We're going to be focusing on the battery for now. Okay, there you go. Alright, let's peel this tape up. Alright, you want to be careful. Let's go ahead and peel this out and disconnect that cable. Let's go ahead and do the same with the keyboard cable. Again, this is kind of a dumb design that they put this tape here. We're going to have to peel all this tape off. You want to be careful not to damage this cable. So we're going to try and peel this off from the cable here. Slowly and gently. Okay, you don't want to pinch the creased area here too hard, because if you smash it too and crease it too hard, then it might break the cable. Let's go ahead and peel this wire, this tape out. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the keyboard cable. Okay, you want to be very careful with that. Let's go ahead and peel this tape back. Alright, so here you go. The cable comes out just like that. And then we're going to peel this tape off. Okay. Again, I don't know why they designed it like this. It's like it's designed for you to break it. But, okay, hold on tight to the cable. And slowly peel this cable away. Again, you don't want to crease this cable too much, because then you can damage it. Alright, so go ahead and slowly rotate this. Alright, hold the cable down as we slowly peel the tape away. And I'm gonna, I guess we'll put the tape under here for now. Again, I don't know why they use this, but whatever. Since they put it there, I'm probably gonna have to put it back just so it stays the same. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to disconnect these cables. So let's flip these latches up here. Okay, flip that latch up as well. And we're going to pull this cable out. Alright, we're going to also undo the tape here. Okay, and then we're going to flip this latch, oops, undo this tape, flip this latch up, and then pull this cable out. So here you can see this USB to the USB board, and then MB to the motherboard. Okay, we'll set that cable aside. We're not going to do anything with this board. We're going to leave that there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the battery out now. So this battery is held in place with an adhesive. It's somewhat of a pain to remove. I just use these thin tools to get underneath and then slowly pry it up. So there's these raised plastic parts here. So I'm going to get that under there. And then I'm going to slowly kind of pry this up. Okay. And then I got a second one here. Same thing, we're going to get underneath here, right, in the edge. And then we're going to pry this up if we can get in the edge there. It doesn't want to go in there, so. Okay, I don't know why, but the tool doesn't want to go in there, so let's go ahead and get the tool under this side. Alright, these aren't sharp tools if you're wondering, so you want to be very careful. You don't want to use something that can cut into the battery pack. Alright, I'm just trying to slowly pry up the battery. Okay, now we can get underneath here and slowly pry that up as well. Okay, you can use whatever works, something thin, flexible, and strong that won't snap easily. Maybe even credit cards might work with this. Okay, but as you can see, I'm just flexing this down to try and get underneath and pry this up. But it's, I don't know, this battery pack is a real pain. It doesn't want to come out. Go ahead and move over to here and try and pry on this side. Okay, it still doesn't want to come out. I'm going to get the tool under here and kind of like pull this up. Wow, this battery's like holding strong. Okay, so that's going to kind of work. I'm going to try and peel it up from here. So we're going to go from this corner edge and try and slowly peel this up here. Okay, you want to be slow with this. You don't want to just try and rip it out real quick. Okay, just go slow. And eventually it should peel up. If you want, you can put something under here that will kind of just raise it up and leave it under there, and eventually it will peel itself up. You can keep stacking it slowly higher and higher until it's high enough to where it just pulls the whole battery out. So I'm just slowly adding a constant pressure to this to slowly peel it up. Okay, man, this is such a pain to remove this battery. Feels like it's actually also peeling out part of the plastic, so we're gonna have to be careful. There we go. All right. And then there's some adhesive down over here as well, so we're gonna continue slowly pulling up. Slowly working our way over. Okay, just like this. Okay. All right. So underneath here, you can actually see the adhesive or the pads where it was sticking. All right, let's go ahead and try and disconnect this cable. Now that we got most of the slack up, we're gonna have to kind of wiggle this connector as we pull it back. Okay, and this is pretty difficult to do. So we're kind of wiggling this connector. Man, come on, I need to get this battery pack out actually first, so let's try and pry this up more. Okay, it's coming up. There we go. Now that we got that out, let's go ahead and wiggle this connector and pull that back. All right, so just keep wiggling and pulling, and there we go. So here's the battery. Oh, this part kind of came up a little bit, as you can see the adhesive. So I'm gonna try and wrap that over later, but let's fix this adhesive here. Stick that back there, and this adhesive here. This one folded over on itself. We're gonna try and unfold it. Okay, and there we go. All right, I'm getting customers calling right now, so I'm gonna have to pause the video and I'll be back. But let's see under here. You can see it slightly peeled this thing up. And we want this plastic to be on top, it seems. So this one used to be under. So I'm gonna switch their places now. Just like that, peel that back up, get that back underneath. Stick that back in place, and then let's go ahead and put this back as well. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna respond to some customers right now, and then we'll continue this repair. But after removing the battery, you do want to open it up and press and hold the power button over here for 10 to 15 seconds. All right, that will drain the capacitors and stuff on the motherboard to make it a lot less risky to work on. This is very important if you're gonna be messing with the screen or LCD LVDS connector. All right, but yeah. Okay, all right, I'm gonna respond to my customers and I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So we removed the battery and then disconnected all these cables. Let's go ahead and disconnect some more cables here. So we're gonna disconnect the speaker cable here, and this speaker cable, does it actually run to another speaker or is it just standalone? Oh, wow, this one speaker by itself uses this big connector here. So we're gonna disconnect this. All right, I just grab the wings with my fingernail, and then you kind of just wiggle it as you slowly pull it, and there you go, it comes out really easily. We're gonna disconnect this cable as well, the trackpad connector here. I didn't pull that out. I flipped the latch up, but I didn't pull this out. Okay, so you want to be very careful with these cables because you don't want to break them. Okay, all these little bent areas, if you pinch them too hard, you can actually damage them, so be very careful. I don't know if I should remove the BIOS or CMOS battery. I'm actually gonna lift the BIOS battery up and leave it connected to the motherboard. Actually, nah, we'll just disconnect it. All right, let's go ahead and grab the wings here if you can and kind of just wiggle. Same thing, and keep wiggling it as you slowly pull, and eventually it will pop out. Okay, just keep going. There we go. So here you can see the hard drive connector here, and then you got the LED indicator lights on the front connector here. So we're gonna flip these out, hard drive 1 and the LED indicators. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and pull the LED indicators cable out, and then let's go ahead and disconnect the hard drive, and I'll show you how to pull that out. So let's go ahead and pull this cable out, okay, just like that, and then you can lift the hard drive up and out just like this. Okay, so this is just a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. You can upgrade this to a 2.5-inch SATA SSD. You just want to pop this connector off just like this. I just get my fingernail in there and then just pry it up. Same thing with the other side. Okay, and then you can go ahead and pull this cable out, attach it to the SSD, and then reinstall it the same way. I'm going to leave it back on the hard drive here. There's no bracket or anything that holds it in place. Okay, we'll set that aside. Right, we got the other speaker connector down here. I'm running out of space on my desk, but same thing as the other one. Just grab the wings, just keep wiggling, and eventually it will just pop out just like that. All right, if you want, you can kind of lift this speaker up to help get it out a little bit easier. Let's see here, let's go under here and then pull that out just like this. Okay, let's see, what else do we need to remove? Okay, so hopefully you did the power button battery drain, capacitor drain, because if you remove this cable and you didn't do that, there's a good chance you'll damage your computer. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and continue removing all these little connectors here. So let's disconnect the wireless card here. I'm going to leave the wireless card attached to the antennas, and we're just going to actually peel up the adhesive here, okay, and undo the screw. All right, and just to keep track of it, I'm actually going to put the screw back, but first let's disconnect this cable, flip up this little latch there, and you can pull this cable up and back just like this. All right, let's go ahead and lift the wireless card up and out. The adhesive tape is actually stuck underneath here, so we are going to have to peel that out. Okay, so let's get the adhesive up, peel that off, there we go. Then we can lift the wireless card slightly up, and we can use this raised part here to help push this out. Okay, just like that. There we go. Again, we're just gonna route the wireless card out over there. Let's go ahead and put this screw in here so we don't lose it. Okay, the speaker's already out, good. All right, now we're going to peel up this adhesive tape here. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit more. Hopefully that will make it easier to see. We're gonna peel this away from the fan here. Okay, I'm just using this plastic razor blade to kind of get underneath. Once you get underneath it, you can go ahead and peel this up. Okay, again, you want to be careful with the adhesives because they might stick to cables, and you don't want to accidentally rip cables out when peeling the adhesive. So I'm holding the cable down slightly as I slowly peel this back. There we go. Okay, just like this, slowly peeling it back. Okay, now we can lift up this black latch here, okay? And then we can go ahead and pull the LCD LVDS connector out, just like this. All right, this is a very long process. Hopefully you guys are able to keep up. Then we're gonna get these wires out, okay? Again, we don't need to really take the wires out completely. We're just moving them out of the way so we can lift the board and everything out. Okay, so we got all of that out. We're gonna leave the fans connected there. Then we got this one connector here. I'm not too sure what that is. It's somewhat taped down here. So we're gonna flip that latch up, and then we're gonna pull this out. Most likely we're gonna have to undo this tape. There's some cat hairs in here, but we're gonna undo this tape here. Okay, so I'm just pinching this tape and slowly rolling it, peeling it back. You wanna be very careful not to end up tearing this cable, of course. Okay, so there we go. We got that cable out. I'm pretty sure this is underneath the motherboard, so we'll have to see. All right, so let's go ahead and start removing all the screws. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can see better. So these don't look like they have any markings to tell you that there's screws there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a marker here, and we're going to just mark wherever we remove a screw from. So if you want, you can mark the screw too, but the main thing is just to mark that copper area so I can kind of see. All right, so we're going to remove this one screw. It's a lot of screws to keep track of, so hopefully you guys will be able to put them on your desk in the pattern like I was mentioning. All right, there's another screw here. right? Again, there are a lot of screws in here, so try and keep track of them the best you can. I'm going to move some stuff aside so I can get a better place to put them. Okay. And we're going to just mark these copper areas so that we can know where we took the screws from. Okay, I don't see any screws holding this fan down. Alright, let's go ahead and remove this. It looks like somebody put some marks on it, so maybe they already took it out before, or maybe the manufacturer did it, but I'm going to put my own marks that kind of help me know what it is. Okay, so we got all of those. Alright, then we got one screw up here, which it's really hard to see. Okay, I don't know if putting a mark there is going to help, but we'll see. I'm going to have to remember because there's no copper there. Alright, hopefully you guys can see that. Alright, we got this other screw down here. Okay, we'll mark that one as well. Alright, got the other screw down here. Okay, then we got another screw right here. Again, I have to mark those too. Okay, so I'll mark this one down here. Mark this one up here. Alright, then we got one screw holding this fan here. Can't really mark that, so, well, I mean, you can if you want, but I'll remember that these two screws came out, and then there's another screw holding the fan down here. Sorry, I was blocking that, so right there, and that one up there in the middle. Okay, so remove those screws. Okay, so now we got all those screws out. Let's see if we can pull the motherboard out. I don't know if there's any hidden screws that I missed, but for now that looks like all of them. So let's see here, is this going to lift or is it still stuck? Oh, I missed one screw down here. Okay, I don't know how I didn't see that one. Let's see, I'm going to try and see where I got these screws. Okay. Alright, mark this one as well. Alright, let's see, can we lift this thing up now? Slowly lift it up. You want to be very gentle lifting this. Most likely we're going to have to lift this side out first. I don't know if there's any other screws holding it in place. It doesn't look like it. I'm going to try and lift from the fan itself. Wow, it's kind of stuck in there. Did I miss the screw? Oh, I missed one screw here. Okay, so there's another screw here holding this fan as well. Okay, so that's a lot of screws I'm going to have to keep track of. Okay. Alright, how about now? It looks like it might be coming up. Hopefully I didn't miss any other screws. There's a lot of hidden screws on this model. It feels like there's something holding this down. It might be some adhesive is stuck or something. Okay, so I'm using this little gap here to try and pull it up. Let's see if we can. Looks like it's wiggling and slowly coming up. Oh, here we go. This adhesive here, I didn't notice that. So this adhesive is going over the copper pipe here. So we are going to have to peel that up and pull this cable out. So I flipped that latch up. Dang, I hate this design. What's with all this tape? It's so dumb. Okay, come on, tape, come out. There we go. Alright. Slowly peeling all this tape off. There we go. And can we pull this out? There we go. Alright, so we got that connector out. We'll set that aside as well. Alright, now we should be able to lift it up, I hope. Anything else holding it down? Is this board blocking it? Is it in the way? No? Okay. It's slightly coming up. Am I missing any screws? Is there more tape holding something here? Nope. Okay, so we're going to slowly, carefully lift this out. You want to be very careful with all these cables all around. I'm going to get these cables going underneath the board. Slowly, very slowly lifting up, just in case there's anything attached underneath. Alright, feels like something is caught here. It might just be this cable. Okay, so we're going to slide this out. So we're going to slide the motherboard through this way, and you can see the cable actually goes out that way. So there we go. All right, we got the wireless card up there, and we're going to clean all this stuff out. I think, is this the power button? Yeah, I think that's the power button. All right, so here you can see on the other side, oh man, that's a lot of dirt and dust. We're gonna have to clean all of this dust out. There's a M.2 SSD here. This looks like a SATA SSD. Does it say? Yeah, it's a M.2 SATA SSD. Just remove the one screw, it pops up, and then you can pull it back. And same thing like the RAM. I have to be careful here because there's all these cables all around. So just like the RAM, pull these two tabs. Whoa, it's not supposed to fly out like that, but should pop up, and then you can pull it out. And here you can see the RAM. Oh, I hate this kind of RAM. They don't really tell you what kind of RAM it is. You'll have to look up the model number of this RAM. So they have these Kingston numbers, MSI 24D D4 S7 S8 MB. I don't know what that means. S68 D50. Yeah, there's some long number here. I just know this is DDR4 memory. I don't know what speed of RAM this is. Yeah, I hate when they put this kind of RAM. A lot of times these Kingston memory, they don't actually tell you the speed or how much on the chip itself. They just have the product code. All right, so we're gonna clean this out. We're gonna clean all of this out, and we'll be back. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit with the cleaner computer. All right, see you guys soon. All right, so I cleaned it out. It's still a little bit dusty. Can't get it perfect. I can use this. I didn't want to use the electric air blower because it can actually end up damaging some of these thin ribbon cables. So kind of just brushed it with a toothbrush, and then kind of just blew it out a little bit with this. All right, so there's the bottom cover. We're gonna set this aside for now. All right, and we're going to be working on this because the fans are the issue with this computer. So let's put this down here. Let's actually try and brush this out a little bit more. Now that I'm out of the sun, I can kind of see the dust a little bit better here. Okay, so I'm actually gonna see about taking all the fans out just to see if there's like big dust balls I need to clean up here. So anyways, we're not gonna be redoing the thermal paste if we don't have to. We're gonna try and just do the fan cleanup if we can. Okay, so these fans are held in place with some small screws here. Hopefully it will come out with just those screws, and I'm not gonna have to rip the whole motherboard out. Okay, we're gonna switch over to a PH0 or JIS0 screwdriver. Okay, let me actually see if I can zoom in on just one. There's a lot of stuff on my desk that's kind of in the way, so I can't really push the motherboard all the way over, but we'll do the best we can. Okay, so we got this here. There's 3 screws here that I see, so let's go ahead and remove those 3 screws. Okay, sorry, I know the camera's kind of wiggling around a little bit. All right, you want to keep all these screws in order, just like all the rest. Okay, 2. And the third one's up in this corner here. Alright, now that we got all these screws out, let's go ahead and disconnect the fan connector here if we can. It helps to use like a small thin plastic tool because I can't really get my finger in this little gap between the fan. And then I'll use my other fingernail to basically rock the connector side to side like all the other ones. And there you go, the fan comes out just like that, or it disconnects. All right, so now that we got those 3 screws out, let's see if we can pop the fan out. Okay, so let's move some stuff out of the way. All right, so hopefully the fan will come out. Here you can see it's kind of rocking a little bit. Oh no, I think this one they actually put some screw mounts under there, did they? Oh, that's gonna suck. So there's this one screw mount here. We're gonna try and lift this heatsink up slightly, just enough to where we can squeeze the fan out from underneath. Okay, so I'm gonna slightly lift this up, and then we're gonna try and squeeze the fan out, but where you might have to take out the heatsink because you see these 2 fan things here. Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to squeeze the fan out this way. That really sucks. Okay, I did not want to have to redo the thermal paste. Let's see here. Can I somehow still manage to squeeze this out somehow? Okay. Looks like it might be able to come. It's just going to be a little bit of a pain. Okay, so let's see here. We got this, and I think there's a metal latch over on this side. Oh, actually not. Okay, so we're lifting this fan up slightly. Okay, hopefully you can see. And I'm gonna try and push the heatsink down while pulling the motherboard up slightly. You don't want to pull too hard or too far though, because of course then you can damage the thing. There's a lot of dirt and dust in there. Let me get the tweezers and pull some out and I'll show you. Wow. I don't know if you guys can see that. Look at all that dirt and dust in there. Wow. Okay, that explains why the fan it got bad. Alright. But again, this design is kind of, they made it to where I think we're going to have to take the whole motherboard out. Dang, I didn't want to have to redo all the thermal paste on this one. It has a lot of thermal paste that would need to be redone if I have to. So let's see here. Sometimes it's just the little lip here that gets caught. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the thin pry tool and just kind of try and get underneath. Well, actually, you can kind of just slowly lift it up here. Okay, get my fingernail under there. And lift that, get my fingernail under, try and get the tool under this. Okay, and let's see if that's enough to pull this. Oh yeah, that worked. Okay, so I just had to lift this lip of the fan up a little bit. Okay, and then now the fan can clear that. Now I'm gonna do the method I was using before, kind of pushing the heatsink down while pulling on this. Okay, and there we go. Got the fan out. Here you can see all this dust in there. Dust in there, dust in there. So I'm going to use a toothbrush, just brush that off outside, and also brush this fan out, and then we'll clean it up. Actually, let me brush it off to the trash can next to me. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So as you can see, I cleaned this all out. It's a lot better now. We're going to move this aside for now, and we're going to work on the fan. Alright, so here's the fan. I cleaned all the dust out of it. Alright, it looks okay, but as we spin it, I can feel a lot of vibration in that. Alright, so this fan I believe is the nice design where you can kind of grab the propellers and you can kind of, there you go, wiggle and pull it out. Alright, and then I'm going to just brush the stuff out here because there's a lot of dust stuck inside there. Alright, and then we're going to clean off the dust here as well. So usually what happens that messes up these fans is the very fine dust gets into here and it messes up the grease. So basically what we're going to do is add some new grease to that. Alright, I just use a little needle and some engine oil. I just use the same stuff I use in my car, which is 5W30 synthetic motor oil. It doesn't have to be that. Any kind of oil that's designed to help with moving parts will work fine. Alright, you don't want to use cooking oil and you don't want to use WD-40. Make sure you're using something that's designed to lubricate moving parts. If you don't have oil, but you have a car or a motorcycle or something, just ask if you don't have one, or if your parents, you can ask if you can pull the dipstick out, and that is what you use to measure the oil, and then you can just get a little oil from that dipstick and you can use that. I mean, it's not ideal because the oil will be slightly dirty, but it will still do a lot better than what's going on right now. So I get a little oil on the needle and I just drop it into there. Okay, so I don't know if you heard it before, it was doing that vibration, so we're going to put this back in. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, it spins way better than before already. And then we're just going to blow this, and the vibration is completely gone. Alright, spins nice and smooth, works really well. And then to kind of improve this more, usually what I do is I'll clean it off a few times, and then I will add a little bit more grease just to get any of the debris out of there. Okay, so I'll get a paper towel like this, and I'll just clean off the shaft where the oil was. and you can see the oil sticks to there. We'll put the fan back in again. All right, drop it in. Make sure it goes in properly lined up. Why isn't it going in? Let me check from the side. Make sure you get it lined up right. There we go. Okay, spin it again. Clean it up again. Okay, and then I'm going to add a tiny bit more oil in there. But that's pretty much how you clean these fans. This fan is nice because the propellers come off nice and easy. Some of them, it takes a bit more work to get the propeller blades off. All right, so we're going to get that cleaned up again. Get the oil in there. Drop this back on top. Spin that around. Check this. And then here you can see the oil kind of overflowed, so it's sticking up there. You don't want too much oil, so let's go ahead and clean that off. Right now there should be enough oil left in the sleeve to where it should be perfectly lubricated. So get the propeller blades back on, and there we go. All right, you can do a test spin again just to make sure. All right, looks good. So now we're just going to pop the fan back in. Let me move the oil out of the way so I don't knock it over. Okay, so now we're just going to put the fan back in. Okay, it goes basically the opposite way. Of course, you want to make sure the cable ends up back underneath the board. And we're just going to go ahead and slide this. Make sure this piece goes under. All right, and then you're going to have to start it slightly higher up over here so that you can get this piece under as well. Might be a little tricky. We're basically going to use the same trick as before. Oops, I don't know if you can see. So same thing, pushing the motherboard up and pushing this down. Okay, and get that underneath. You kind of have to do a slight twisting motion. Again, if you want, you can actually just take the entire heat sink out and redo the thermal paste, but I didn't want to have to redo all of that. Okay. Unless the computer's overheating, usually you don't need to redo the thermal paste. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so we got all of this out. Now we're going to reconnect. Oops. Let's go ahead and reconnect the fan connector here. Let's move this stuff out of the way. Okay, so fan connector, line that back up. Pinch the two pieces together, there we go. All right, and you should see the fan lines up with that little raised groove like before. Now let's go ahead and put back the fan screws. And then again, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. All right, because we wanna make sure all the fans are good. The fans might be okay, but there's likely those giant dust balls, so we wanna check for that, because the dust balls will block all the ventilation and then it will cause your computer to run extremely hot. Okay, so there we go. We got those 3 screws back in. Let's go ahead and move over to this side, and we're going to remove the screws from here as well. I don't know if they're hiding screws underneath here. Let me see. Okay, I think these 2 spots where there's plastic there have screws, so we're most likely going to have to peel this stuff up. So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to try and peel this up and see what's underneath. Actually, I don't see any screws under here at all. So we're probably okay. We'll just stick that back down. Let me check this side just to be safe. Okay. Nope, I don't see any screws under there either. So, okay, we're just gonna remove all the screws on these fans. Let's go ahead and disconnect these connectors first. Be careful not to bend these heat pipes. All right, I'm gonna use my fingernails to wiggle the fan connectors. All right, just like this. There we go. Same thing with this one. Again, I'm probably gonna have to use the plastic tool there just so I can reach, because there's not much room. So let's use that, and we're gonna just basically wiggle this connector. All right, just like that, and there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and remove these screws holding it in place. So we got one here. Again, these are PH0 or JAS0 screws. Okay, one there, one in the center. I'm surprised they don't have one on this side. Okay, and then we got 3 going across the bottom. Hopefully those are all the fans, and then this should come out relatively easily. There's only this one plastic thing that's hitting the motherboard, so this one shouldn't be as difficult to remove. Okay, we'll see if there's any other hidden screws, but I didn't see any. Okay, so we got those 5 screws out. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull these fans out easily. So here, this one's already dropping out pretty easily. All right, and it looks like it's getting caught here just like the other one. So you can get your fingernail or whatever thin tool underneath there, and hopefully that will raise it enough to where you can pull that out. It's being a little tricky here, so let's see. Oh, okay. This one also has this little clip here. So for this, you have to kind of like push this. I don't know if you can see it. There's this little metal clip that you have to undo, so you have to kind of lift this clip up. Uh-oh, phone's overheating. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. I forgot that I left my battery phone case in charging mode. That's why it makes that staticky sound sometimes. All right, so anyways, as I was saying, there's this little clip here that hooks over part of the fan, so you have to actually get underneath that and then kind of bend it out of the way. All right, so I use my fingernail. You can use a little thin pry tool or whatever. All right, so I'm gonna just lightly bend this back. All right, as you can see, it stays bent there. It's really hard to like bend it to where it doesn't stay bent to where you can actually take this out. So usually I have to slightly bend it, and then after I remove the fan, I'll bend it back, and then when I put the fan, it will be fine. All right, so there we go. Now that we've unbent that, here you can see the fan can come up just like this. All right, and then we can lift the whole fan out. So here you can see, look at all these little dust balls, dust bunnies, and that's after I tried blowing the dust out of it with a powerful electric air blower. All right, so anyways, I'm gonna clean this stuff out and I will be back. See you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. I also cleaned out the fans a little bit. I didn't do the grease yet, so I will do that just like the other fan. Again, you wanna make sure to bend this metal tab back to be about 90 degrees. Right, just like before. If you want, you can bend it slightly more. It's just going to be, you have to kind of maneuver the fan slightly to get it into place properly. So you can see, cleaned all of this out. That's all good. All right, let's set that aside for now. And now let's go ahead and add the grease into the fans just like the other one. Okay, so these fans come out really easily, just like the other one. Very nice design. You just grab these and evenly pull up. You want to make sure you're not pulling to like diagonally to one side, because then you can damage the fans. All right, so let's go ahead and clean this out just like this. If you want, you can also try and clean these propellers better. I'm going to try and do that actually, because they're pretty dusty. So let's pull out the second one as well and go ahead and clean this up. Don't mix them up. I mean, you can tell one is bigger than the other, so I don't think you can put the wrong one in the wrong spot, but just be careful. All right, so let me pause this. I'm going to clean the propellers and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So couldn't really clean them too much more. Probably if I needed to, I'd have to like dunk them in water, but I don't want to really get water into all of that stuff. So anyways, let's go ahead, and what I do is I dip the needle in the oil. Okay, again, you want to use oil that's designed for lubricating things. You don't want to use like cooking oil or WD-40. A lot of people use WD-40 or something, but if you do that, keep in mind your fan is going to go like bad again real soon. So WD-40 is not to lubricate things. It kind of just removes the water and grease that's in the area, and then you're basically going to be running your fans dry without any lubrication, and eventually it's going to actually damage the components, so you don't want to do that. All right, so here we go. These fans are nice and good. Again, I'm going to clean the shaft off and put some clean oil just to make sure that it's good to go. All right, sometimes there's some residue in there. I like to just try and clean that out. Okay, there we go, clean that up, and let's go ahead and put another drop in both of them. You don't need too much, so oops, I'm getting too much oil on there. Okay, so let's get some oil on this one. So these aren't actually bearings in here, they're just little sleeves that hold the fans in place. Okay, all right, there we go. So we got them all greased up with new oil, so that should hold up for another several years. Okay, put the oil bottle away. All right, let's put the fan back in. Just like that, and just like this. There we go. Spin them around again. The way you know the fans are good is if you spin them slightly and they can do this like wobbly back and forth thing, like this, all right? That's how you know the fans are good. This one, the fan is kind of too light, so it doesn't work too well. But as you can see, there is a slight kind of wobble to it. If I pull it slightly here and let go, it goes back. So that's how you know it's good. This fan, again, it's really light, so it has a hard time doing that wobble. But yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and put the fan propeller blades back in here. Again, we bent this side out. Oh, there's a little dust. So we are going to have to kind of push it over that way. All right, let me see if I can get this in camera view. I might have to zoom out. Oh yeah, I do have to zoom out a bit. Let's zoom out here. Okay, just like that. Make sure these cables go back underneath the motherboard. All right, so we're gonna guide them underneath there, and then we're slightly going over this way. Make sure that the metal tab ends up on the side, not inside the fan. So, okay, guide that over right. Click that down into place. And you can kind of test it. If it hooks on right, then if you try and lift it, it should kind of catch, but here you can see it's not. So let's go ahead and actually bend this metal tab over a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Then let's go ahead and push this back in place. Okay, get that in there. There we go, that clicked into place. So here you can see now if I try and pull it, it's staying, it's not coming out, all right? At least not from this side. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this back over. Okay, and then we're gonna get all the screws back in, okay? So right now I'm just holding underneath so that it doesn't fall back out. Make sure that the fan is lined up and that the metal plate here is in the grooves. Okay, so it's not sticking on top or anything weird like that. All right, so once you get one screw in, that's good. We can let this rest down. Let's go ahead and put back all the rest of the screws. All right. There we go. If you did want to do the thermal paste, I did another video with an HP laptop, which the process is very similar. So if you wanted to see how to redo thermal paste, you can watch that video and then you can see and figure it out from there. All right, let's go ahead and reconnect these fans. There's basically 4 screws holding here and 3 screws holding there. After you do that, you can basically kind of just lift and pull this whole thing up. All right, let's get this latch in or this connector in as well. Make sure all your fans are reconnected. Pinch that back in. You don't want to leave the fan disconnected and then be like, oh, it's so quiet, and then all of a sudden your computer overheats and dies. Okay, so again, keep that in mind. Okay, so this all goes underneath. It's kind of a dumb design. They should have built it the other way so that you have access to these. I'm gonna pop these up and clean these connectors off because sometimes they go bad, especially since this one just like flew out last time. All right, so let's go ahead and get that back in and click that down. I'm gonna check this one as well just to be safe. Clean that off. There's a bunch of dust in here, so let's clean that out. Okay, I have a customer message or calling me right now, but they're gonna have to wait until I'm done with this. All right, so I don't know if you can see there's some slight discoloration on these pins, so I'm just wiping them down. All right, let's go ahead and get that back in. Again, squeeze it so that it's getting pushed all the way in, and then go ahead and push that into place. Make sure both of them are in firm. Okay, and now let's go ahead and get the computer and put it all back together. So, we'll get the bottom piece here, okay. All right, the tricky part here is making sure all these cables end up back on top because there are so many cables. All right, and then we also have to kind of swing it over at that angle like before. So this one has to kind of go and guide this cable through this edge here. Okay, so be careful not to damage that cable. And we're slowly sliding it over to the left. Okay, and you want to make sure it clears these screw holes and make sure those screw holes line up. All right, then you got this speaker cable. You want to be careful, make sure it ends up outside. Or you can try and plug it in right away, but that's going to be very difficult, so I'm not going to do that. Right, CMOS battery cable, make sure that's on top. Okay, you got all these other keyboard cable, backlight, keyboard, the actual keyboard cable here. Got the trackpad cable here, okay. And there's a lot of cables that go into this thing, so if you accidentally trap one under there, you're going to have a tough time later. So yeah, all right, make sure you get the LCD LVDS connector and the Wi-Fi card adapters out from under there. Oh, I might have to actually do that one first, because actually I'm gonna pull them over to the right this way. Oops, hopefully you can see. So I'm pulling them over to the right, and there you can get the cable out that way. So let's see if we can do the same thing with this one. We're gonna grab the cable and pull it over to the right. Yep, that's the easier way. Okay, and then we're going to slowly lower this down again, making sure that none of the cables are trapped underneath there. Slowly lowering it down. Again, you want to make sure these screw holes are still lined up. Slowly dropping it down and into place. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to have to reconnect everything. Again, just doing everything in reverse. Let me zoom in and see if hopefully this will be easy enough to see. Okay, I need to zoom out more because that's too close. Okay, so the speaker cable, just like before, we're going to lift it up slightly so that we can kind of get some, a little bit less slack that direction. All right, and then you want to angle this to go up and straight back into there. This might be a little tricky, so if you want, you can actually lift the whole speaker out and then pull it back slightly, just like, oh, sorry, you can't actually see what I did. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Okay, so I lifted this speaker out slightly and then pulled it back here. All right, so now I have a little less slack, and then it allows me to pull it and get it into place. And then we're just gonna push the two wings back in, and there you go. It automatically falls into the right spot, just like that. All right, and let's zoom in again. All right, let's get some of these things out of my way. All right, don't forget this little cable up here. I think this was the power button cable, so if your computer doesn't turn on, check if this is plugged in. This cable is very important. All right, flip that latch down, and then you can go ahead and push the adhesive back into place. There we go, make sure that's in all the way. If it's not, again, your computer won't turn on. All right, so we got the, let's zoom out a little bit again. So this is going to be a little tricky. Let's actually put the CMOS or BIOS battery in first. Okay, so we got this cable, and we're going to just get that back in right. So you want to check the pins and make sure that the shorter part is at the top. So you don't want these metal pins facing up. You actually want them facing down. All right, so we're going to do that, line it up, and then we're going to go ahead and push that in as well. There we go. Make sure this cable's kind of following this groove. Now that we kind of moved it all around, it's a little bit popping up. All right, let's get the hard drive. So hard drive, same thing, just drop it back into the groove there. Okay. Might be a little tricky with this cable, the shape, but I like to lift it up slightly with my finger like that and then push it down this way. So that way, again, just like the speaker, you kind of shorten the cable as you're raising it up at an angle like that. All right, and then get that in. This cable can be a little tricky. There we go. Right, then slide that latch back down with your finger. Make sure this is all pushed in properly. Then the LED board connector. Let's zoom back in here so you can see better. Okay, we're gonna push this. I just realized this model actually also has the reset button on the bottom. So if for some reason your computer's not turning on, at the bottom here they have this little battery reset piece. So you can actually push that with a needle or a pin, and you press and hold that button about 10 to 15 seconds, and it does like a BIOS CMOS reset type deal. And sometimes if your computer has like a temporary short issue, this will fix that. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and continue putting back these connectors. So these I'll put back later because the battery goes, well, actually I can put this in and then put the battery, slide it underneath. So let's go ahead and get these connectors in. Okay, keyboard backlight, flip that latch down, keyboard connector. All right, get that in, make sure it's all lined up, and flip that latch down. Then you got this connector for the trackpad, make sure the latch is up. Okay, this one doesn't have the little tab, so it's a little bit trickier, but just get it lined up. All right, you want to be gentle with these connectors and cables. There we go. All right, flip that latch back down. Gonna keep going over. We got the speaker connector here. Get that in and pinch these two together. Hopefully those won't block the battery. I think when I put it in, yeah, that should be okay. Okay. Then we got this. Oh, let's go ahead and put the wireless connector back in first. So we got the wireless card here. I'm gonna get that in. All right, just like this, at an angle slightly. All right, actually this model they designed so it's not so much at an angle, so you kind of want it a little bit more flat, and then you just push the whole wireless card back in. Okay, it's a little bit tough. Oh, oops, I left the screw in there, that's why. Okay, let's pull this back out. Don't forget, if you put the screw there, to take that screw back out. Otherwise it holds it at too high of an angle. Okay, now let's get this back in. There we go. All right, and then we're gonna hold that out of the way, and we'll get the screw in. Make sure it goes beneath or behind the raised part of this metal screw mount. All right, otherwise if you screw it in, you're gonna pinch the wireless card really bad. All right, let's stick this tape back down. All right, I should actually be putting back all the motherboard screws, so let's go ahead and do that. Let me zoom out and then do that real quick before I finish getting everything else back into place. Okay, so first one, we're gonna start with this one. Okay, make sure it lines up. Oops, I actually need to switch back to the PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. I was still using the PH0. Okay, so get that screwdriver in, or that screw in, tighten that into place. All right, then we're gonna get the other one that was down here that we almost forgot last time. We were trying to lift it and it wouldn't come out. Okay, now we got 3 going up diagonal this way, so let's go ahead and get that. Got this one here. All right, then we got the second one here. Okay, then we got the third one up in this corner here, or in the center top. That one doesn't have the copper marking. All right, then we got 3 going across this way. All right, I'm not missing anything, right? Okay, we got this one here. All right, once you get that one, you got the one that's holding the bottom corner of this fan here. That one was hidden. We missed that last time as well. All right, make sure you get that one. All right, then you got this one that's on the edge of the motherboard or logic board. There we go. Then we got the one down here. Okay. Then all that we got left is the 2 fan screws here. So got this one. And the one in the bottom corner right here. Okay. Okay. I don't know if this cable needs to be on top or underneath, or it doesn't matter. I think it looks like it works better on top of the wireless card board, wireless card antennas. So let's go ahead and put this back. Make sure you lift up this latch. Let me zoom in a tiny bit if I can. Uh-oh, I can't zoom in that much or I won't be able to show this. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this one back in. Again, you want to make sure this doesn't stick back down while you're trying to put this cable in, otherwise it won't connect properly. So get that in. This one might be a little tricky. Come on, there we go. Okay, get that connected all the way in, and then slide your finger over the top to latch it back down. You want to slide your finger over, you don't want to like jab it over like that, because if you do it that way, I've had a lot of people rip these little latches off. All right, so we got this latch open. Let's go ahead and get this cable in as well. Okay, make sure that cable is in all the way. And then same thing, slide your finger over to latch it down. There we go. Then we had this wireless antennas. They went around this board over this fan here. All right, just like this. And then we have this connector that goes in here. Make sure you lift up that black latch. Okay, and get this connector in. This is the LCD LVDS connector. It's very important that you don't remove this cable unless you've disconnected the battery and press and held the power button 10 to 15 seconds. Otherwise, you can burn out your LCD, your motherboard backlight circuit, or even the cable and like a combination of other things. Right, so get that latch back down. We got all of this in place. We can go ahead and put the tape back on. There we go. All right, what else are we missing? We got the big golden cable here. This one goes to the USBs here, and it goes over the top, I think, of the battery, if I remember correctly. So we'll actually put this last. Okay, so now we're going to put the battery back in. I think this is the last component. All right, so be careful because these adhesives will stick it back down, so you want to carefully get the you can also peel this back up too if you want. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just roll this over backwards so that it stays open that way. All right, so we're gonna get this connector. Make sure you get the battery lined up right. You don't want to get the wrong pins connected and then fry your computer. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and try and pull this connector over. Okay, it's a little bit weird and tricky because the position of it, but just do your best. Okay. There's not really a good place to even grab this either, so it's kind of a bad design, but that's how they designed it. All right, so just like that. And then I like to kind of just, there you go, wiggle the edges in and it pulls itself. Then you get this and slide it over as far to the left this way as you can. All right, and then you can go ahead and lower this down. Make sure that it's clearing this as well. Push that down into place. Again, make sure the battery is connected all the way. You want to try and push on the plastic edges of the battery connector, not on the cables, because you don't want to break the cables. All right, seems like it's good. All right, so now we can go ahead and lightly push these cables back down. You don't want to crease them too hard. And then we're just going to slowly put this adhesive back on top, just lightly. All right, just like that. There we go. All right, last cable, the USB board cable. Now you have to be careful because the board is live again. We reconnected all the power to the battery. So let's go ahead and get this one back in, slide that in like that. Slide the latch over, put the tape back on. Then this one, make sure that latches up. Okay, slide this into place. All right, just like that, and slide that latch down. There we go. So now let's go ahead and see if the computer turns on. We might have to plug in the power before it turns on, but let's find out. So you want to be careful flipping the thing over too far. I'm gonna leave the bottom cover off. I have to clean this too, it's pretty dusty. I'll clean that later. Anyways, let's go ahead and see if it powers up. So I'm gonna push the power button on the right hand side here. All right. All right, I might have to plug it in. Or let's hold the power button for a second. Yep, we have to plug it in. All right, let me get the plug and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. I got the plug. Let's go ahead and plug this thing in. Okay, put it on the right hand side as well. We'll look up here, see if these lights are coming on. Interesting. I actually don't even see these lights on, or am I just at a weird angle? Nothing. Okay, let's try and power it up. I actually didn't try turning this computer on before working on it, so hopefully it's okay. Nothing is happening. Let's try doing the BIOS or CMOS reset button here. Nothing at all. Uh-oh, something's weird. This computer doesn't want to turn on. Let's check the charger port. Alright, I'm gonna have to look into this and see what's going on. Everything is reconnected properly, so I don't know why it would not work right now. That's all connected okay. That's all connected okay. Everything else connected okay. BIOS, CMOS, battery, power button is connected okay. Alright, everything looks like it's plugged in okay, so I don't know what's going on unless the battery's not in right. Everything else looks good. Let's try the LED board touch. Okay, let's try plugging this in again and see if anything changes. That's not good. It's not turning on for some reason. Alright, let's go ahead and disconnect this and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on. I hope nothing got shorted or anything from all that dust cleaning off. I don't see anything weird here. Okay, let's open this up and try draining the power again. I'm going to hold the power button. Actually, the battery's connected right now, so it shouldn't cause a problem. Alright, let's go ahead and take the battery back out just to see if we can reset that. Alright, I'm going to peel this off again. Slowly peel this. Be very careful with this cable. Okay. And let's peel out the USB, or undo the USB connector here. Probably should have tried powering this up first before doing this repair. Okay, but anyways, let's peel out this USB board connector. Okay, now let's go ahead and disconnect the CMOS battery. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is try this battery reset button here. I'm going to press and hold this for about 10 to 15 seconds. Alright, and then we're going to press and hold the regular, oh, actually let's remove the battery first, sorry. Okay, let's slowly peel up the battery here. Okay, let's actually take the battery out. There we go. Alright, let's press this 10 to 15 seconds now. I hope this whole repair isn't going to end up costing me money because it's not working for some reason. I should have tested the computer first, because sometimes the computer is like not working to begin with, and then I just work on it and then I don't realize. Alright, so let's press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, and then we're going to reassemble this and see if it does anything. I'm going to try it without the built-in battery. Alright, so let's go ahead and put the BIOS or CMOS battery connector in first. That lined up right, and it's harder to do this with the hard drive in place, but okay. Click the CMOS battery back into place. There we go. Alright, let's see what happens if we plug this in, if anything will happen at all or not. So plug this in. Nothing is showing up at all, so I don't know, something must be fried on this thing. Nothing is happening right now. Alright, let's get the speakers back in. This is very, very strange. I don't know what's going on. Everything is latched in, right? Let's go ahead and double check. Check power button connector. LCD connector is okay. This connector should be fine. Okay. Wireless card, trackpad connector looks good. Keyboard connector looks good. Keyboard backlight connector looks good. Everything seems to be connected properly, so I don't know what is going on here. The only other stuff is the batteries and the SSD underneath on the other side. Let's try cleaning it off, see if there's any weird dust that's preventing some kind of short somewhere. Alright, let's try doing the battery reset again. I'm going to try and reconnect the battery one more time. I hope it's not an issue with this battery, because this battery was very difficult to remove. So let's go ahead and get the battery back in. Okay, plug that in all the way. Lined up. Get the USB board back in. Alright, let's get this cable back, taped back on top. Get it all taped down. Unless this model has a detector for detecting the bottom lid is off, which hopefully it doesn't. We'll see. I'll put the bottom lid back on and see if that makes a difference. Kind of doubt it will, but alright, so we got everything reconnected. Let's plug this in again. I don't see a battery charging light or anything, so I have a feeling it's not going to work. Let's go ahead and use the voltmeter here and see if we're getting voltage coming out of the charger or not. Sometimes the charger can be a problem. Okay. And I don't know if you can even see this. No, we're getting 19.5-ish volts. Okay. Is the voltage coming through to here? The voltage is coming through to the motherboard, as you can see. So I don't know what's going on here. It's doing something weird. Nothing is happening. I'm wondering if it is the battery or not. That's really strange. Alright, let's go ahead and put the bottom cover on and see if that does anything. Alright, I doubt this will do anything, but it won't hurt. So let's go ahead and put this back on. Get everything lined back up. Okay, I don't know what's going on with this part here. That's all bent. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and snap the back pieces back in. Alright, and let's go ahead and get all these screws back down. So they had a whole bunch of missing screws, so I'm just going to put them kind of somewhat evenly spread out. Let's actually put the corner screws here. Yeah, they're missing a whole bunch of screws here. Okay, let's go ahead and get this side screw in. Alright, let's get the warranty void sticker in. Come on, go in. There we go. Alright. Again, I'm going to try and evenly spread out these screws because they were missing so many. So let's see if I can put them in places that make more sense. Get this one in this top corner here. Get this one in this top corner as well. There we go. Alright, where else would be good? In the center here or up here? We'll put the two in the center. Okay, and then it probably makes more sense to have one in one of these, so we'll put this one here. Alright, I'm going to try using a needle or pin to push the CMOS BIOS reset while it's all reassembled and see if that helps at all. Okay, hold it about 10 to 15 seconds. Alright, and let's plug this back in. Still no lights coming on. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Did everything properly, made sure to keep myself grounded. Nothing weird happened, so very strange. I should have tried plugging it in before working on it, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to tell the customer and see what they say. But this is an expensive computer, so I don't know. I might end up having to place this or see if I can get it repaired. Alright, so anyways, that's the end of this video. Hopefully this helps some people, even though it's probably going to end up costing me a bunch of money now. But thanks for watching. I'm going to do a complete reassembly later, just to see if I, for some reason, somehow missed something and it'll get it turned back on. But for now, that's pretty much all there is to this. Again, hopefully it helped you. If it did, make sure to like and subscribe. Share my channel with others so that they can also work on their devices. This is a pretty complex model, so keep that in mind. If you're going to open it up, it's a little bit scary. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.